imagine in 15 years' time, when nanotechnology has become somewhat mature, when artificial intelligence in the first stage also is somewhat mature, at least mature in the sense of automation, not in the sense of intelligence, but in automation. It will be, it's not too far. There is a lot of hype now around AI, but not too long it will be relatively mature. But after that, the nanotechnology comes also into its mature stage. Next, in a democracy, what will happen is that if there is one of the candidates that somebody thinks is inconvenient and they want to prevent it, and there is no need to a murder attempt or something in a presidential candidate after 15 years into the future, because then they can send a modified mosquito drone and give him some kind of a inconvenient disease that gives him concentration problems. And anybody who gets that without any traceable crime, they're just simply out of the race. In the society, we need to get in place something that prevents the politicians from not making their decisions transparent. The whole point here is to enforce transparency. In a situation where most or all the countries are already super corrupt, there is no point going through elections and begging the already corrupt politicians for permission. Please, can you change the constitution so that you cannot trick anybody anymore? That won't work. The only thing that can work is, as a citizen, you can use your vote in any way you like. The problem is that there are no political parties or nobody in place, and if they are already corrupt. So what we need is a way to meet the citizens, to meet informally and prepare what is necessary to guarantee transparency, and then agree through some kind of a preliminary voting system about and measure how much support do we really have. Are we getting critical mass or are we not getting critical mass? And then through a normal real election, suddenly somebody can vote in a complete outsider party that has possibly only one thing on their agenda, namely a change of the constitution that guarantees transparency everywhere and open source everywhere in government. And only that. And then you can enforce election system that is open source, so that everybody can be sitting in their living room and checking that the open source voting system hasn't been changed and is actually valid for this election. But before then, in order to have such a system, we need to use digital identity and something that is not approved by government, just to do the discussion. And there a CMS comes in. And when we are ready, we really need a CMF platform that can implement it once we have secured the legislation. And there's no other open source. First of all, the solution needs to, in order for it to be transparent, open source is the only answer. And these processes here take a lot of time. 15 years is not a lot in terms of dealing with changes in constitution. That's almost nothing. So there's nobody that can compete with the maturity of the Drupal 7/backdrop platform now that can have any chance of finishing something in time. Maybe we have only these 15 years before before the nanotechnology is ready, because after that, if we don't have a system in place, then any kind of election that is needed the first time to actually make the first change will be easily manipulated, very easily manipulated, in ways that are simply not traceable. It's not we don't have a chance. That's a goodbye to democracy, basically.